What's up? This is Don DeVore from Ink Dagger, Frail, various other things. You're listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am your host, Keith, and we are back with this very, very special bonus episode of The New Scene. I welcome Nathaniel Shannon back to the show. He's the author of the St. Vitus Bar book. He's producer of the Dead Guy documentary. He's working on the Snapcase Legacy documentary. He's an accomplished photographer and videographer. I teamed up with Nathaniel, and we spent a week in Philadelphia together to document the return of Ink Dagger. I originally met Nathaniel through this very podcast and through mutual friends of ours, and in speaking to each other, we discovered that we have the same favorite band. So what was originally just going to be us attending these reunion shows turned into something much more, and you'll hear all about it throughout this conversation. But before we jump into that, remember to support Iodine Recordings. Head to iodinerecordings.com, pick up the latest from hundreds of AU, Dead Bars, Piebald, and a ton of other great bands. And show some love to our sponsor for the month of December, Evil Greed. They've got all the latest merch, all the latest releases, all the latest pre-orders. Head to evilgreed.com and pick something up today. And now, we present to you Ink Dagger, The Order Recap. All right, we are here now with Nathaniel Shannon. Nathaniel, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Keith. I really appreciate what you do and all the hard work you put into just being a moderately decent human.
Thank you. At least somebody does.
Well, you know, we got to look out for each other out in the streets because it's, I'm just going to come out and say it. There's a lot of really boring stuff out there that I get really bored by, and I find what you and I do not boring, and it keeps me entertained, and that's all I really give a shit about.
Good. I feel the same way. And this is good that we are back together once again, because I haven't seen you since we parted ways during the Ink Dagger week extravaganza of events, which we are both here to recap and tell you about. I was originally just going to do a end of a New Scene episode recap, but you know, this whole thing has turned into a much bigger thing, which Nathaniel and I are here to talk to you about and recap and all that stuff. So this whole thing started with just me going to the Ink Dagger shows. Was it the same for you, Nathaniel? Like, did you see the announcement? Were you like, I'm going to buy tickets, I'm just going to go to this?
I think before we even get into the shows, I think something that's really fascinating living in the moment and recognizing real-time connections with people is that when I put together the Vitus book, okay, so like going back, like obviously like you and I are huge fans. I made the joke to you that like Ink Dagger are kind of like our Grateful Dead of like nerddom. And when I put together the Vitus book a couple of years ago and you had me on the New Scene to talk about that and just kind of jerk myself off of like whatever we were talking about, you know, something we were kind of really bonded over was Ink Dagger. And it's like almost like a good person test of other friendships I've had, whether it's like former bandmates, friends from 30 years ago, friends now, new friends, old friends. Not to mention that my buddy Peter Tansky and I also started our own podcast, because you can't live in society without a podcast, called Shadow Talker, interviewing bands and musicians and artists about their paranormal experiences. And we also bonded heavily when he interviewed me over our mutual love of Ink and Dagger. And we named, because we're fucking dorks, we named our podcast after an Ink and Dagger song, because we were struggling to come up with something that not only fit that, so there's like so much more to it than like, oh, I like that band, but it's like your and I's relationship is affected and developed because of our mutual shared interest in this thing. So when you and I individually found out, because we're in the know, because we've spent enough time being alive as media thirsty wolves out there creating content, making hundreds of pennies a month off of what we do. We were like, oh shit, this is happening. Nobody knows about it yet. And I very much was excited to share, knowing your mutual appreciation with you, this insider trading information that like we shared, that we were kind of sworn not to talk about. But we obviously had to talk about it with somebody. So we talked about it with each other because we both knew. And taking that and then being like, we have to do something. You and I kind of tiptoed around doing some sort of collaborative effort together. I did some photo work with Memory Entry, and, I love what you've done with that band, and you've had me on here, and like you use a lot of my photos for ID cards for your podcast. So what could we do to elevate that and take it kind of to a next step? And fortunately, our mutual friend, Chris Enriquez, who's going to be so excited that we mentioned him, and I have been working a lot, doing a lot of stuff with New Noise. And I went to them and was like, look, these shows are happening. We should do something to cover it. And I really would like to work with my buddy Keith M, because he's a fantastic person and we get along really well. And we've got this mutual shared interest, which went from let's you and I do an article for New Noise to what it turned into, which is not something I think either one of us expected at our ripe ages that would ever happen to us in 2025, of not only sharing an experience of friendship, but the positivity of like the future society, or Philadelphia future society of vampires, and getting sucked into the cult-like energy that really is, I think, represented now in whatever this positive cosmic burst of creativity and positivity and friendship and community and really supportive, positive thing that used to very much represent something I think a little darker and more chaotic and negative that you and I also were on the fringes of when we were younger. And I'll go ahead and say we were kind of maniacs when we were younger, dealing with whatever we were going through. And now we get to celebrate the fact that we're not dead and we prevailed. And, we get to play off of that vampiric metaphor energy.
Yeah, I even though like we had talked about it, I didn't remember. And even though I had been on the Shadow Talker podcast, I didn't quite remember. But then you were texting me about it and you were like, hey, the shows are happening. And I knew more than I was letting on, but I was still sworn to secrecy. So I didn't really, I was like, oh yeah, I heard something, and I didn't like really talk about it yet.
You did a really good job of keeping your mouth shut.
I had to.
You did a great job.
I had to.
Secrets are safe with Keith.
Yeah, I was like, if I'm the one who leaks it, and then like Don hates me, it's I can't live with that. I can't. But
you have too good a hair for Don to hate you.
I hope so. So we were texting about it. We're both lifelong Ink and Dagger heads. Look, here's the tattoo. See it? There it is. And then Crawler, huh? That's an Ink and Dagger reference, the first Memory Entry song. Yep. So you're like, let's write this article. And then we talked about how we're like both naturally suspicious. I was like, why does he want me to write it? What's he gonna do? Like what because we kind of hung out, but not really. And then and I was like, no, just do it. Like, because I'm not used to collaborating with people. Sure. I'm not used to like spending that much time with people, but I'm so glad I did. So we're like, yeah, article. And then I reached out to Don and I was like, Don, there is the opportunity to do this article for New Noise. It's a great magazine. I'll be doing it with you, Nathaniel, who has an accomplished resume. Are you down? And he's like, yeah. So we do the email intro and we're batting back and forth what we're going to do and what's going to be covered and what pictures are going to be taken and what pictures aren't going to be taken. Now, originally it was just going to be that. At what point did the video stuff come into play? I don't even remember how that came up.
Well, it all came together pretty quickly. I mean, I wanted to work with you on this again because of our shared interest. And I think you and I coming from very different but similar backgrounds of who we were and where we're at in our lives now and our new found freedom of being comfortable in our skin and ambitions to just do as much as we can before we die. And what a great opportunity, like jumping off point with something we mutually love. And, I think we got on the call with Don. We were like, hey, this is what we want to do. He was into some of it. He wasn't into other parts of it, which I respect, especially after he kind of explained why and where the band was at and what they were trying to represent. And this not be a Wikipedia page. Are you vegetarian? When did you discover Metallica? A to Z bullshit history of the band and more of where are we at now? How are people impacted? What is the community like of like-minded fans and people who have been influenced by the art they made 30 years ago and where does that all come together in like a kaleidoscope of Philadelphia psychosis. And he had kind of passingly mentioned to us that there might be some video components involved and, kind of passed us off to Evan Weiss, who was working with Joe at Trust Records on the reissues and kind of acting as like manager in a managerial role of like, Evan's great. And I think he was just helping get shit done.
Yeah. As he says, he is not a manager.
He's not a manager,
but he was, but he kinda, he was helping out with a lot.
He was helping produce this reunion as a million people were of taking it from no longer what was, but a current representation of where everybody's heads are at. And that requires a lot of work. And like everybody really jumped in. And I will also say, like, you and I have never really spent time together. Again, we worked, I did memory entry photos and stuff. So I was excited to like work with you on this and also get to like know you more in person, which is a weird thing to say as somebody who's in their 40s who is growing increasingly antisocial because I'm really tired of just dealing with everybody's bullshit.
Yeah.
And just want to be around people who are kind of in my zone and ready to work and be on the same level of proficiency and execution of ideas, is pretentious as that sounds.
Real quick, a lot of times when I open up, I end up disappointed with people.
Sure.
It doesn't work out. There's a personality conflict. Someone tries to take advantage of me. So I keep a very strong wall between me and others often. So I hadn't even been in this situation where like, oh, we're gonna like stay together in the same place for 5 or 6 nights. I hadn't even done that in a while.
Well, jumping ahead, Evan got involved and we started talking, and literally 3 days before, we ended up going to Philly and spending the week with the band, running around, documenting everything they were doing. They approached us and were like, hey, we want to film this because there might be something bigger happening with the documentation. You and I had another phone call with Don. We talked about the logistics of how this would all work. And you and I, within 24 hours, were invited to come spend the week with the band, going to practice, the rehearsals, them tightening up with Jeff. You and I sat down with Jeff beforehand, interviewed him for what will be our New Noise article coming out very soon, and just jumped in. Like, we just got in the car, in real talk, like there's like so many facets that go into this. Of to get super personal, it's like I got laid off from my job recently, and had that not happen, I wouldn't have had the time to go. You were able to be flexible with your job, and you were even working while we were down there to make this happen. And it's like everything just kind of really fell into place unexpectedly, from like, oh, hey, I'm going to go to this thing, to like, hey, do you want to do something together, to we're now being invited to the inner circle and the order of, through textual documentation, photo documentation, and video documentation, spending and in absorbing what it was for the members, the fans, the friends, and everybody involved to participate in executing this like pretty grandiose reunion and celebration of Sean's life in a way that not only I thought was very honorable and tasteful, but just one of the most positive experiences, which also then turned into, hey, me and my friend Keith, that I don't really know in person, are going to spend several days living together in an Airbnb, getting to know each other. And I think this is also a testament of like newfound personal friendships that I think we developed, of like working together and spending literally 4 days straight with each other, of like getting to know each other in a way that really reminded me of, hey, I met this person, like, let's get in the car and go to the show in another state and just whatever, fuck it, punk rock, the way that we did when we were younger. And not only because of it was based on a band that we loved when we were that age and like doing that and having those experiences, but like we got to go be pirates with like kind of no responsibilities other than document, shoot, hang, absorb, report back.
That's a great comparison, because I miss that. Yeah, like remember when Don was telling the story of how he and Sean just went to Baltimore on a whim to find the artist who ended up doing the layout for Fine Art of Original Sin.
Yeah.
They didn't know where he lived. They didn't know anything. They just went down there in like at 11 o'clock at night or something and found him. They ended up finding him. Just go like, and I was thinking about that and I was like, man, I miss adventures like that. Like I miss, and we kind of did that.
I mean, if, to all intents of saying this relative to the audience that listens to what you do, get in the van, motherfucker. Like, I mean, it is literally just, we got in the car. We got in different cars because we had different schedules, but like we just got in the car and like went and did it, and I think what was also really funny to me too is we were at the Ink Dagger Airbnb and we were talking with Don and some I think George was around and Josh Brown, and we were talking and they were like, oh man, yeah, like everybody was kind of like asking us like, how long have you guys known each other? How long have you guys worked together? Blah, 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 blah. And it was like, we haven't. Like, we literally haven't. Like, we just came down here together because we're nerds for this shit and wanted to just, we were presented with an opportunity and just had to go for it. And it was not lost on me in the moment of like recognizing like, oh, here's this person, Keith M, that I get along, vibe with well, create with well, but also we're doing that within the order of a band we love and feeding off of their manic yet absolutely calculated energy in the 6 degrees of what not only the First U Church in Philly, what that represents, the fact that it's insane to me 31 years later, they're still doing shows, but with Robbie and Jeff and everybody that is involved in that place, R5 Productions has been influential not only for that town, but also like bands coming out of Philly, bands coming to Philly. The fact that that all exists and is like such a tight community that is also like very welcoming of everybody jumping in and just being like, hey, what can I help you with? Oh, you're going to do cameras? Okay. We should put a camera here. I'll help you do it. Here's a ladder. Here's clamps. Here's this. Here's that. Here's that. In a way
how
that
refreshing.
like, it's super refreshing.
Yeah. Like no New York bullshit attitudes. Just like everybody was chill.
Yeah. Are you vaccinated, bro? Do you like Chromags? No, it's just simply like, oh yeah, we gotta get this done. We have until X time to get this done. Let's go do it. How can we help? The Tuesday of that week, we got down there. You got down there first because you filmed the rehearsal that day. And I was going to come later that night because I had to work that day. And it was crazy work week. So you were at the rehearsal. Talk about that because I'm jealous I didn't get to see it. It's fucking surreal, man. I mean, I was smart enough to build a camera before I got there that I had ready to go. And I literally hopped out of the car, met Don outside. We walked in, was like, okay, we're going. And they just jumped into practicing and started with Road to Hell. And it took me a couple songs to even realize like where I was at. Obviously, I have a very long history with Jeff Rickley and doing a lot of photo work with Thursday over the years. I have a lot of mutual friends with the band, but I don't really know them all that well. I've met Don a couple times over the years, but like I walked in and they immediately welcomed me, which is comforting because you don't know. I mean, there's people's egos are fucking all over the place, and it's hard sometimes when you're put in the position of sticking cameras in people's faces to feel comfortable and welcome when maybe they don't actually want you there.
Music people in general can be unpredictable because we're all peculiar. So you never know
That's
what
true.
you're going to get. Could be nice, could be standoffish, could be not.
Managing 5 personalities, how they interact with each other, how they interact with you. Did they eat? Did they sleep? Is there coffee? Is there other things that affect all of that? But I walked in and like it was very welcoming, and they just launched in and ran through the set a couple times, and I just was standing there and was like, "Holy shit! I'm the only one here." Like, if at my darkest in my life, when I would put on any of those records as a coping mechanism to kind of escape from whatever physical situations I had put myself in based on generally very poor decision making. And now I'm here because of why? Hard work. Things that like you and I have individually done between your podcast, Vitus book, Dead Guy documentary, the Snapcase documentary I'm in the middle of, working on a project with Dismember, working with Seisha, other things that like have gained attention in the sphere of a world that you and I have been dancing around for fucking 30 years. Being now a peer and asked to participate versus like necessarily like inserting myself was huge. And then listening to these songs that I know inside and out, it was just like, it was weird because it was like, this is Ink Dagger practicing. This isn't like, oh, Halloween's coming up. Here's a bunch of people from bands that are going to do covers of for like a wild, wacky Halloween party. And there's going to be a Jesus Lizard band and a Sonic Youth cover band and a Screwdriver cover band. And then everybody's going to get mad about that. But nope, it's Ink Dagger. Are people going to get mad about saying Screwdriver?
I don't know.
Sorry. But like, you know, Halloween shows are like, there's a lot of cover bands and stuff. And I like kind of felt at first, I was like, yeah, this is just a bunch of people playing those songs. And I was like, no, these are, especially like with Wags playing drums, it's like you played drums on this record. And the role of filling Sean's shoes is so insane for anybody to have to try and do. And I think even within 20 seconds of Jeff grabbing the microphone and launching in to the first day and how it was foretold, I was like, this is it, dude. Like, you nailed and are absolutely channeling as a tribute what the spirit of, I think, Sean kind of represented. And I'm sure people will have problems with that, but like, who gives a shit? You know, if everybody involved is on the same page and it is for the greater good of their relationships, which I think was also like really fascinating, is I was around the last reunion with Jeff and like photographed that and spent a little bit of time with the band while we were all, I think, in much darker places based on whatever substances we were ingesting at the time. There were no barricades, there were no walls, there were no roadblocks. It was just simply like them as a unit working together. And again, it's like, it's fascinating watching several humans like coexist in an environment such as a practice space when there's creativity, let alone like legacy creativity being re-experienced and relearned how they interact with each other, and it was just really positive and friendly and complimentary in a way that like I don't see often, even with bands that are been together for years and years, got through therapy or this thing or that thing, ups and downs of staying together. So being a part of that and like being at practice was like, whoa, this is fucking weird.
That's something I thought about all week. I was like, think of all of the circumstance of events that have taken place over the last 20 years for us to end up where we did.
Yeah, I mean it's cosmic dominoes falling into place, and there's a reason for that. I think that the Christian and or organized religion of God is a silly, archaic, juvenile way to hide behind bullshit and explain away simple logic, but there's a spiritual connection that we have as humans sometimes that when you see that and can feel it and live in the moment of it and talk about it, not only with the band members, but like friends and family and everybody else that was participating in executing and helping out with those shows, everybody was having that conversation of like recognizing what was happening in the moment and it not be a reflection. You and I are reflecting now. And it's easy to have those kind of conversations of like, hey, remember when, man, I think we felt X, Y, and Z about that versus like, I feel X, Y, and Z right now, as do you, as does everybody else. And that's really kind of special in a way that doesn't happen very often. And when it does, man, like it's, as the whites like to say, lightning in a bottle.
So that night I got there and we checked into the Airbnb, and then we went over to the Ink and Dagger house. Don was there, and his guitar protege and friend Kingsley. Was Kingsley there too?
Kingsley was there, little jelly bean, number one jelly bean.
Yes, and then we were like hanging out, and we're like, oh, we're going to walk to the billboard.
Walking into the Ink and Dagger house in 2025 with a fine Philadelphia craft beer in my camera bag and walking in and everybody's watching the World Series. So it's like not what I expected. I've been like really like baseball crazy the last couple seasons. And so I was just like in my head, like, man, I kind of really want to watch the World Series. And like we walked in and it was on. And I was like, not only do I get to hang out with you, Keith M, and Don, and make a new friend, Kingsley, and talk about ourselves and our loves and our passions and the band, but also get to watch baseball at the same time. It's like not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I expected like, I don't know, I expected like a bunch of people and like everyone partying, but that it was not that, and I'm actually glad it wasn't.
Like an 1890s opium den?
Or just like, I don't know, just like more of a punk house, like a lot of people hanging out, drinking vibe, music going, all that stuff. But that was not it. Jeff was gone for the night. Don and Kingsley were watching baseball. And then at one point, George and Josh came in and they were just like hanging out, just like regular people.
Everybody's got to eat dinner, man.
Yeah. So we're like, hey, we're walking to the billboard. It's close by. So we're going to walk to the billboard, the Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires billboard that everybody has seen. But on the way there, we stopped by the second Ink and Dagger house.
Well, just to interject, like you and I were talking about going over there, and Don even was like, we should go to the billboard. Let's just go to the billboard. And we're like, okay. He's like, let's go. And at one point, like I looked at you and I was like, oh my God, are we groupies? Like we are getting the private, coveted Ink and Dagger tour of Philadelphia with Don the week of this thing happening. And I think he also knew, and it's great for documentation purposes. As an outsider to the city who loves going to Philadelphia, having a personal guided tour by somebody that was like part of this thing that I've grown to love is, as a tourist.
Yeah, I was happy to be a groupie in that instance. And we we stopped by the second Ink and Dagger house. They used to live in a house close to the church. So we went there, and Don was telling some stories about, he lived there, Sean lived there. I think maybe Robbie Redcheeks lived there. A whole bunch of people lived there. Don was booking shows at the church at the time. And, just like little stories about living in the house and things that went on. And then after that, we headed to the billboard. And, Don was just like kind of giving us a walking tour of different things. Like, this is the first La Colombe coffee shop where he used to get coffee all the time. And this is where this was, and this is different landmarks. And it's and I remember saying to you, Nathaniel, like, this is a tour of like actual things that I give a shit about.
Yeah, it's all part of the history of why we're there now.
Yeah, because I'm like an Ink and Dagger nerd, and I know you are too. Any tidbit, any story, any like, oh, we used to go here, or oh, we stopped by this house once, or oh, this happened at this street. Like, I find all of that stuff fascinating.
Sure, especially with a band that has so much like mythos and lore, and so much of it is like not true. Even though like it doesn't matter if it's true or not, because it's still part of the story, in the traditional sense of repetitive storytelling. And having somebody, well, biased maybe through his eyes of at least what and how he remembers things, just point out, be like, oh, hey, we did this thing there. We did a scam at the fucking Gap store there and got shirts for merch and this thing, was fascinating to have that experience in person rather than watching a YouTube video or somebody else, especially with a band that like before, I think the explosion of the last decade of social media and ease of having scanners at home for people to share their archive of photos or flyers, or all of the great Instagram accounts now that have become archival collections of people's ephemera from communities and bands. There was not a lot when we were younger. It was all lore. And so to again, like, be able to kind of be like, hey, what about this thing that I heard, and get insight to that was fucking cool as shit.
Exactly. I had to stop myself from asking like a million questions. Like, what about this? What about that? What, so we get to the billboard, and then we run into, was it Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff from R5, who was like the point person at the church for all those nights. And I think he was there with someone from Paint It Black, right?
Yes. With Josh
there
from
you go.
Paint It Black.
And then I remember thinking, well, I guess if you're going to run into Don anywhere, like, the billboard would be the place, right?
Yeah. And that was really funny, again, as like an outsider, but like there's landmarks in Philly that you go to for different reasons. There's like the Liberty Bell or the church or this record store, or this place or this place. All towns have those kind of like landmarks. And it reminded me of years ago going to Sweden with Dismember when they got back together, and we went to the cemetery where Entombed had taken a photo in front of this giant cross that was on the back of an album. And it's like a mecca for metal dorks in Stockholm, no different than like some of the churches in Norway. And my wife was like, why are we going to this cross? Like, what are we doing? And I was like, the band Dismember wants to take a photo there. And I was like, it's probably going to be full of dorks that are just like standing around this cross because it was on the back of an album cover from like 1990. And we got there and it was like full of fucking metal dorks standing around this cross. So it's like that Ink and Dagger billboard to me is like, it was kind of like the Entombed cross of psychedelic Philadelphia hardcore, of like, this is the gathering spot, And I think also because like, while it was posted on social media and like not only great in-person advertising, but also great guerrilla social marketing and advertising, it became a hunt and peck of like, where is it? Kind of like the Sean mural that Steve Espo did, of those locations weren't provided, but it all became like a word of mouth thing, and everybody wanted to go see it, get their picture taken, which I don't know that any band recently has done anything like that has created like a collective pilgrimage to go see like a location like that and have that experience.
Yeah, Don is like a mad genius. The amount of ideas that came to fruition throughout that week for the actual Ink and Dagger rollout and shows, and then just random other stuff he told me and us that he was going to do. Like, I was like, at one point I was like, wow, Don, you're like a real idea man. You've got a lot of good ideas. I can't remember what he said, but I know it was funny, but like, it's just like nonstop.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're creating an environment where you don't stifle yourself based on other people's expectations or trying to fit in the mold of what your marketed brand, and I'm saying this because I worked in marketing for a while, your marketed brand is, and just let it actually be a natural organic thing of like, this is for fucking us and what we want to do, and giving no fucks about the outside existential reaction to whatever you're doing. It's very freeing. You're not limiting yourself. And that's infectious when you're around it. You know, I after we left the week spending down there, you know, have texted a little bit back and forth with him in this last week, and it's all just been very encouraging as far as life lessons, not only I think for personal growth, but also artistic growth that, again, you have nostalgia for, and it's all hindsight, but it's so surreal when you're living in the moment of it and recognizing like, oh, this experience is changing my perspective about like how I can approach executing an idea, not only because I love art that was created 30 plus years ago, but also watching how it's executed now is super inspirational.
It is. I have thought about that myself, and I'm like, hey, maybe I should try this, or hey, maybe I should try that, and we'll see if it happens. Why the fuck not?
Get in the van. Get in the van, Keith.
I have to. We have to. So that's day one. Day two was the mural. Steve Espo Powers did a mural in North Philadelphia. It's on the side of that building where they practiced, the same place the rehearsal was day one. So we got to witness the beginning of the making of that mural. That was pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, that's not my world of street art. You know, I think you and I have mutual friends that like traverse the periphery of that subculture. It's something I think is rad, but like I don't know anything about. So even seeing the outline applications being applied to the wall in the process of starting from sketches in a notebook to application, especially with somebody who is not only very closely tied to the band, but also flew on a red eye from Japan to execute this thing that week, also dealing with weather conditions and having to kind of like manage how to get things done when storms are brewing, because it wouldn't be Halloween without a storm. And was just another cool experience of like, we're here. Nobody else is here. We get to experience this firsthand and see the beginning steps of living in that moment, you know, to just keep going back to that. But like, it's hard not to, of like, oh shit, that's how he does that. That's how he applies this. That's the process of painting a mural on a building, you know?
It was very cool to be able to witness that. I didn't realize, I remembered this recently. Espo, he did all these murals along the Market Frankfurt line in Philadelphia, all the way up, and I think all the way back. He did like murals on different buildings. I remember a lot of people talking about it like 8 years ago, and I actually rode the L to see a lot of them. That was him.
Yeah, so it's full circle, as is everything with the
yes. Band. So after that, we went to the First Unitarian Church because there was a full production day. They were setting up, they were sound checking, they were covering the walls in white paper so that blood did not splatter everywhere. But that white paper also was like a reflective surface for the visuals that they had.
Yeah, for the immersive experience that the show was. I was really grateful that we got to go mainly from a production standpoint of, I've been doing this a really long time, shooting video of bands, shooting photos of bands, and most of the time you get there with no preparation time, and it's a scramble, a stressful scramble of like, where are we going to put cameras? What are we going to do? How are we going to execute? What are you guys going to do? It was very hush hush of how the band was going to execute their stage show. And while you and I were kind of in the know, and I was like incessantly asking questions because I just wanted to like make sure that we captured as much as we could, as properly and as best as we could, being able to be a part of the production day and really lock in a plan on a technical side is not a luxury that I often have. It's normally like, all right, we're at the venue. Okay, cool. You got 45 minutes to like go set shit up and figure out how to multi-camera record a show. So having that time, and also the band allowing me to do some photo work, some group shots, some portraits, tasteful nudes of them after some discussion of like what that meant and how that was going to be represented was also like huge to me. You know, I mean, again, who would have thought in 2025, like I would get that access to be like, hey, I've got this idea that fits the vibe of what you guys are, where you're at currently, that you're cool with, but also helps me to make more photo work that I can be proud of, not only because of who's in the photographs, but also like pushing the boundaries of, you know, my never ending quest to be like a master of light, if you will, behind a camera.
Oh, there was all loop in the vocal.
Let's try again, and I was already.
We found it.
Right, yeah, right there.
Sorry.
We
got tough, dude. We got tough on it.
Yeah, that looks
We'll
great.
work on some hand signals.
All right, everybody
after
stay
the first
exactly
song.
where they are.
So having the time also with like your help to like help me set up lights and move stuff around and stand in and like throw ideas back and forth. And like you had some really great suggestions. And one of the photos that I was able to make was like your idea of how we set that shot up.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I'm giving you credit, man.
Wow.
You were like, what if we do this? And I was like, fuck yeah, that's a great idea, Keith. Let's do that.
I'm a genius.
You are a genius. And everybody said it. Everybody knows it. And that flexibility of them, because again, the mutual respect was there of like, yeah, we trust your vision. Let's go do that. And there was like, no, well, you know, I don't know if we should do this or that. It was just simply like, no, if you think that's a good idea, let's go. Whatever you and Keith think is best in this situation, we trust your judgment because you are here to capture and do why you were asked to be here without pushback. Is also kind of fucking rare, to be honest with you. You know, and I very much remember talking with Don at one point and being like, hey man, what if we do this? And he just looked at me. He's like, you don't have to have my permission as long as you got a good idea. And I was like, yeah, I've been doing this a really long time, and I throw a lot of ideas at people, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. And then you get in the moment of either doing photos or video or this thing, and they're like, why are we doing this? This is fucking stupid. And I want to avoid conflict and avoid deviating from, okay, we need a plan based on lighting setups, and like we have several minutes to execute a very quick idea. Which I couldn't have done, frankly, without your help. Because doing a one-man band thing is like exhausting sometimes. So it's cool to like have that time to spend with, oh, here's the inner workings of how this show's gonna be executed. Because frankly, even if I was just shooting stills and showing up at doors, I would be stressing out all day thinking like, okay, well, what's the crowd going to be like? How am I going to get to the front? Do this, is this. I'm 44. I don't want to get kicked in the head, which I did get kicked in the head. And like all of these things that like I stress myself out about, mainly based on wanting to do the best job that I can to capture. And you and I were talking about in the moment of like, oh shit, having time.
Yeah, like when you were setting up the cameras and clipping it to the ceiling and in the back, I was like, oh man, like that's a lot of pressure. I would feel a lot of pressure right now if I was you. But I think the fact that both of us were there made it easier.
Not only that, because it's great to have somebody to like bounce ideas off of, but sometimes when you're in those situations with that pressure, you just go and do it and don't overthink. And I think the amount of time we were able to prepare, no different than like you preparing to interview a guest. If you have a week, that's too much versus like, okay, a couple hours or a day, then you don't overthink what you're doing and you can just kind of hone in and get in the zone of like, okay, here's how I'm going to execute what I have in my head and how I'm going to do that, let alone have a plan with you. Extremely grateful, Steve Padula, old homie who was coming to support his bandmate. But also Steve and I have worked together a bunch of times on like film production stuff, was able to come and help us. So also having Steve to kind of like bounce ideas off of and rely on his expertise and knowledge was also huge, of just knowing that we're just going to go in and like do this thing and not overthink it.
He had his own safe corner. Remember, a safe place for Steve Padula.
Safe place for Steve Padula. Steve needs a safe place.
Don was very into the idea. Like once Steve was mentioned and that he was going to be there, Don was like very excited. Like he kept mentioning Steve, and then the safe space was carved out with the sign and everything. It was funny.
It was funny. Steve was scared about getting blood on his camera, and Don had his number one jelly bean Kingsley make a sign for Steve's corner that said Steve's safe place, which if anybody who's ever met Steve is like the funniest shit in the world. And honestly, it's like one of my favorite parts of the entire week.
Yeah, he was really nice. I've met him in passing, but I got to talk to him. He was cool. Tom Keeley from Thursday. I haven't spoken to him in like 20 years. He was really nice.
Awesome to see Tom come to the show and like them all hang out together. I love Tom. Also known him a very long time. Photographed him a lot over the years. So you know, those types of kind of reunions, not only for them, but also just like people that I've been working with and friends with for like so long, all coming as fans to like embrace this thing. It was overwhelming turning a corner and being like, oh, hey, you're here. You know, I gotta go. I got cameras. Keith and I gotta go shoot shit.
I can't believe how many people were at the show that I didn't see.
A lot.
How?
I don't know, man. You and I were busy. We
Yeah.
were running around like maniacs.
I guess that's
and
true.
part of this also too was like talking to Ink and Dagger fans about like their obsessions, especially ones in vampire makeup. And unfortunately, I was very disappointed that because we were running around with cameras, I could not wear the cape that I wanted to out of fear of getting choked out with a camera in my hand. Because I'm not as ballsy as I used to be, I guess. And makeup running into my eyes while operating a camera is not as fun as it probably once was. But hearing those stories of like why the man had an impact on other people that were just coming to celebrate this collection of people all together was really rewarding, because people have like stories that are all over the place, you know?
Yeah, so night one, Paint It Black was the opener the first night. We had everything set up. We were interviewing people. We were interviewing different people who came to the show, young fans, old fans, new fans, different people, getting ready for things. So Paint It Black played. Awesome. I think I saw them once a long time ago. I can't remember, but that was my first time really seeing them. They're Paint It Black. They're great.
Yeah, they were great. You know, I think the curation of opening bands of old and current relevant friends, having like old heads and then So Glow play on Saturday and Honey on Sunday, is cool, of like what was 6 Degrees of Philly and Philly adjacent and local to what's currently going on in the city. A really great way to handle the lineups. Also, is going to be mad at a 2-band bill.
Oh, cause that was the best. That was the best. To everyone, take note. 2-band bill. Yeah.
I mean, who wants to fucking sit through 3 bands when everybody's there to sing Ink Dagger? You know, Paint It Black, awesome. That guy, killer. It's so weird to me still that like they're back together, and I was able to work with them on that film and like co-direct a music video and do photos and like be part of that story too. Incredible. So Glow, I think one of the most interesting bands of the last, frankly, 30 fucking years, let alone coming out of that city, and in Honey Who Crush. But it's like nobody wants to see more than that, because everybody's there to see. It doesn't matter how cool you are or how great your band is everybody's there to see Ink Dagger, except for that one like 16-year-old that told us he didn't give a shit about Ink Dagger but loved that guy.
That was a based 16-year-old.
It was based, but like, man, he's fucking real talk honesty. I appreciate it. I appreciate him being like, no, I'm here to see them. It's like, cool.
That's refreshing honesty. So first Ink and Dagger show, night one, we went to the house. Everybody was getting ready. The band, they're putting on makeup. Jeff is doing like his vocal warm up. There's like an electricity in the air. There's like a tension in the air. You know, I could tell Don was kind of nervous. He's like, "You guys ready?" Like right before we were about to go outside, he's like, "You guys ready? Come on!" Like, and then like, you know, everybody's outside, full war paint. The place they were staying was steps from the church, and I was like, Nathaniel, we have to film that walk. From the house to the church. That's like an MMA entrance. Like,
Yeah. Let's go. It all went so well, man.
Wait, are we playing now?
Oh yeah. Set it by the air.
You're going that way.
Jeff gave me the wave.
I love it. Oh. Didn't make it. Is that a juice or a shot? Juice. Definitely a juice. I'm gonna put a bunch of makeup on my earplug and just go in my ear. That should be lights on off here.
Oh, I got you.
Lights aren't off yet.
Oh, wait, I don't want to go through this way, actually.
Out there.
Jeff told me to go inside.
Gonna play into the center.
Oh, yeah?
Try
Okay. I got
the weather on Thursday, it had been raining all day, but the rain stopped by the time the show started. So the streets are wet, and like you can't buy better production than like wet, foggy streets. Like you have to pay for that to like look like that. And again, give that kind of very, to me, Gothic Philadelphia. Like it looked like Philly at night, the way I've always envisioned that city based on experience and not experience, but made up through, I guess, media and pop culture of like what that city is. And it was like, this is perfect because it's slightly foggy. You get a little bit of that halo of the lamps, street lights, and then you've got Ink Dagger walking down the street, descending on the church, and nobody knows that they're coming from a block away in an Airbnb, you know, which again, if you've been to the church, like it's small, there's not a lot of places for bands to prepare. And I think production wise, that was a really good call getting for them to get that house and have a little sanctuary outside of the sanctuary. No, it was very well planned.
Don really thought of everything. He had every inch, every minute planned out. So everyone goes down there. They go down the steps to go into the church. Don has his cocoon entrance, where he is hoisted onto the stage in a cocoon, which I think I don't remember seeing it the first night. And then like he comes out of the cocoon, and Kingsley gave him the guitar.
He got into a larva in a closet and was hoisted by who all was, I forget. I know Robbie Red Cheeks and Josh Alvarez from Cross Keys were involved, and I apologize who else. I was like in a haze of just like trying to zone in and prepare for what was about to happen. But I followed them with my camera and got some video and photos of him being carried through the crowd, and then the larva being placed on stage, which was awesome. I think it was like confusing, kind of lost on people, because I didn't really know what was going on. But I think that confusion too is a canvas of distracting people from what's about to happen. You couldn't ask for a better entrance.
Right. And I don't even remember, like, it was a different experience, the show for me, because I was really focused on trying to get good footage, because I was on one side of the stage filming and you were on the other side of the stage filming.
I was in the crowd to start before I got kicked in the face. You know, and even with that, it's just like, all right, here we go. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And 20 seconds into the road to hell, somebody jumped off the stage and kicked me in the face, which has happened like 1,000 times. And I dropped my flash and my camera. Was kind of like, whoa, what just happened? Kind of came to reality. And like somebody was like, hey man, your flash fell off, and like handed it to me. And I was like, there you go. Philadelphia provides. I got my flash back, jumped back in there, got some photos. Our new friend Anthony helped us film. That motherfucker spent the entire show in the crowd filming video. And I posted up, taking some videos elsewhere and stills. And I will have to interject too. I think one of the coolest parts of the show for me is two of my oldest friends that I was in a band heavily influenced by Ink Dagger 25 years ago back in Michigan, where I grew up. I had been keeping them abreast of what was happening all week because neither one of them could make it to Philly. And, you know, I was giving them text updates and sending them photos and videos and like bringing them kind of along on this journey. And the fact that we live in an age where you can like FaceTime people and they both picked up the phone without me giving any warning. And like, I was able to like show them the show and watch the show with them, even though digitally, like was my favorite part of the entire week. Cause I was watching their faces. My buddy Adam, I think looked at like, he was at like Walmart or Meijer or like a package store. And then my friend Howard was out for a walk outside. And just watching the joy on their faces and like them kind of headbanging along while you and I are standing there, like watching the band was like, it's fucking cool to be able to share that with somebody. You know, I'm not one to like generally do that because I think it's kind of obnoxious to like have your phone out. But I also very much like that band was so important to like my relationship with those two dudes 25 years ago. It's like being able to share that just for like a minute be like, yo, check this out, you know, and they both texted me and was like, that was incredible. Like, thank you so much for sharing. Like, really honestly made that entire trip, even if nothing else had happened, being able to share that with the two of them was like magical to me.
Yeah, I didn't care. Like I had the professional camera filming the set, and then I had my phone out, like, for me. and I was like, I'm probably ruining the professional shot here right now, but I got to get a clip for me too. And it was just,
you did a great job.
Well, I hope so. But, you know, it was really trippy being on stage that close, like right behind Dave filming, because you just see everything that's happening. You see the band's little moments with each other. I saw a lot, but I feel like I missed a lot too, because I was like back kind of tucked behind the stage, and I'm like really intent on trying to get good footage. So I feel like I missed a lot too, but that's fine because I got to just watch a show later in the week, which I'll get to. But I mean, I was blown away. I loved it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was awesome being able to share that with you. Not only, you know, you had made a comment of like, I want to learn more about video. So I was like, here's a crash course, dude. You just got to jump in there and get your feet wet. And you did a great job. And I'm appreciate you helping me. But also, like, I think it hopefully gave you some confidence too of like, oh shit, I was able to do that and enjoy this band and have this experience of, you know, it's new experiences for everybody.
Yeah. No, I have the eye. Did you see that Shiner clip I posted?
It's incredible.
Dude.
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
I'm like the best. No, Nathaniel, inspired by our trip, I realized that I can film those clips in 4K on the phone.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And they look pro. I've been doing everything in HD 30 and it looks like shit, but no.
No, do it in 4K.
Yeah, so I that's what I'll do now.
Well, see? It's just baby steps, man. Sometimes you just need somebody to help you a little bit.
This is why collaboration is key. This was the key takeaway from the discussion with Ben Greenberg. And I was thinking about our week together, Nathaniel. Collaboration is key. It
is. It's good to have people around you that you trust and you can rely and bounce ideas off of, you know. And even back to the band, seeing how Jeff and Don's respect for each other and Jeff being brought in to that situation kind of last minute, which is their story to tell. So I'll leave it at that. But like them kind of help support each other in the roles of like their execution of these songs was cool, man. It was just the communication was great and it was really professional. And it's like, all built on respect of like, okay, I know you can do this job. So awesome.
One thing I forgot to mention too, I love how they treat it with the utmost respect to Sean McCabe, their late vocalist. There's no like Jeff coming in and saying, hi, we're Ink and Dagger. There's no like, oh, hey, everybody, thanks for being here tonight, blah, blah, blah. It's just like no words are, the only words you hear are the recordings they play of Sean between some of the songs. And what a brilliant move, I think.
The opening sample of him talking about now we're at the bridge to cross to the road to hell was spooky.
I just got chills when you said that.
Yeah, dude. I've rewatched the video. Like I'm working on like cutting some stuff together, which we can touch on in a little bit. But hearing that samples, having the board feed you couldn't ask for a better way to have him there, you know, and like there was like a lot of Sean samples, you know, and there's that sarcasm that came with kind of, I think, who he was and like as a front man of that band. But that was very tastefully done. Also, what a way to take pressure off of the person who is filling in the role of not having to necessarily be the figurehead, but just play the instrument of vocalist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just reminded me when we were at the mural the first time we were there, when they were first painting it, it was weird. Like I missed Sean. I never met him. I had seen Ink and Dagger, the original one, once back in the day.
Sure.
But I never met Sean. Like I never had a conversation with him. But I was sad. Like I missed him. I wanted him to be there. Like I wanted him to be able to be a part of this, you know?
Sure. Yeah, same. I mean, I think the spirit of that was really well represented, not only from the way that the band executed the shows, but also like the friends reminiscing, sharing stories, Robbie wearing an Earth Crisis shirt and eating yogurt on stage, which is fucking hilarious. You know, it's just like that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of references there that like, man, I've known a lot of people that have died, a lot of people in bands that have died, bands that have continued on, bands that have reunited. Like, all of our experiences, 6 degrees to death related to musical creation. We have experience with that. I don't think I've ever seen anything that was like more honorable in a way of celebrating this person and kind of really making the focal point about him and not like, oh, hey, we're going to play these songs or like, hey, buy the new incredibly beautiful remastered versions of these records. I'm kind of a prick and pretty judgmental about things that I do not agree with. And there is not me. There was never one moment where I was like, I don't know about this. It was just simply like, wow, shit, that dude is like at the forefront of everybody's mind in a way that I don't think I really expected it to be necessarily that sincere, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because not that the utmost respect wasn't paid to him last time, because it was, but I didn't expect such a huge spiritual community respect thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Like you talked about earlier, you could feel it the whole week, all week with everybody.
Yeah. I continue to have conversations. I mean, you and I have talked about it a little bit since other friends that like I didn't realize were there because we were just running around like maniacs. So we're like, oh shit, you were there. I was there. It's cool. Oh man, I saw you running around with the camera. I don't, there's few examples, I think, over the course of my lifetime of like going to see bands play or sitting in Yellowstone, going to Lake McDonald and Glacier National Park, places that are like really serene where you feel connected to the environment, whether it is trees and the earth or people inhabiting the earth. Again, like I don't know that I've ever seen something where like everybody was just like, it was one organism, like the most hippie way possible. It was like one living, breathing organism of a crowd coming together, whether they were kicking each other in the head or not. It was all good.
So that was the first show. Day 2, the next show, and that's the one where Dead Guy opened. You have an extensive history with Dead Guy, as we know. Actually, you're partially responsible for getting them back together. You have that claim to fame because of the documentary.
It's true.
I was really excited to see them because I hadn't in, 3 years or something. And it was going to be another night of filming. Yeah.
I think what was also great about you and I sharing an Airbnb together was you had some work to do and I needed to back up footage. I realized I really desperately needed to back up the firmware on my video cameras and take care of some stuff. And like we just hung out, and like you worked and I worked. I had like some other work I had to get done, and we just hung out and like ate lunch, and we wandered around and just kind of was like, hey, all right, I'm gonna go do this thing. I'll be back, and it was like no pressure of like, well, we're staying together, so we have to hang out. And then we went and had really delicious tacos for dinner. And I want to bring that up only because I have always wanted to eat at, I'm forgetting the name of it, but that Mexican restaurant up the block from the church.
It's like El Rey or El Vez or something.
Yeah, that looks like a 60s disco on the inside. And goddamn, those tacos were good. That guacamole was great. And it was like the perfect amount of food. Even sitting and having dinner, I was like, this is exactly where we're supposed to be right now, eating these tacos.
See, remember I advised you not to get the burrito because that would be too much.
Sure, you did. And I'm glad that you did that, because I ate the tacos and I crushed some beers, and then we went to the show, and Dead Guy came out and did what Dead Guy did.
Sit up. Off my back! Get your eyes off my back! Get your eyes! Off my back! Get your eyes off my back! Get your eyes off my back! Get your eyes! What's your dad? Feel like the end! Everybody's got the end!
And it was awesome. And then we jumped into Dagger Night 2, which was a different vibe, I have to say. And it was cool that it was on Halloween. And I really loved the fact that standing outside of the church, interviewing some Ink Dagger fans, there's like children dressed up as like superheroes and Michael Myers and princesses and dinosaurs, like walking by. And that spirit of like how fun Halloween is mixed with like, then the adults are at the First U Church getting ready to watch their favorite psychedelic vampire band play for a second night in a row. And it's just like a really cool, it's like, oh man, everybody's just like in a good mood and happy and positive and candy. And, I wouldn't say I didn't expect it to be as good. I expected it to be slightly different. And it was like wild to me how great it really was the second night, especially with Mike from Uniform coming out and guest vocaling, who I think absolutely crushed. I very much feel like Jeff was on fire the second show. And again, it was like cool. It's cool to watch him as somebody who I've seen perform 1,000 times, photographed, interviewed, spent time, toured with, be able to come out and take something, a performance that's like already gonna be good, but like take it kind of a step higher, put his twist as a front man on it, or as an vocalist, and push that to really get the crowd reacting. And bodies were flying, and I've been doing this a really, really, really long time, and every now and then, again, going back to like living in the moment of documenting things, sometimes I just know when shit clicks. Shooting bands, especially in a chaotic room where like I'm getting punched and kicked, and like I gotta survive and fight my way through a crowd to get the kind of photos that I want to make, not just stand on the safety net of this side of the stage. which is kind of what shooting hardcore has turned into, and I kind of don't get. But I felt like I'm going to get home and these pictures are going to be incredible because I can feel it. And that's not like the pretension of like any ego as much as, again, the energy of that crowd reacting to the band on stage is being sucked through this piece of plastic I'm holding in my hand, and I can feel it.
And those pictures were good. No,
They're
I'm
fine.
sorry. Those pictures were great.
I appreciate that. I did a good job.
I know you like when people tell you how great your photos are. So I want to take one more opportunity to tell you.
Hey, man, and it was really great walking around with you and people recognizing your voice and having no idea what you look like. And you and I talking in a corner to each other and people being like, I can hear that guy's voice from across the room. That's got to be Keith M. from the New Scene podcast.
That happened last night. At the Shiner show, this guy Frank, who I've met before, came out, and then his friend like recognized me. It's funny when people like recognize me from the podcast.
Weird, man.
Because who recognizes someone from a podcast?
Recognizes a photographer.
Oh yeah, that happened.
I mean,
to you too.
You and I were joking of like people would come up and be like, "Hey, man, it's really good to see you," and give me a hug. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. No disrespect to those people. I have a really bad memory, and I spent a lot of years drinking and getting punched in the face.
I do too. If people tell me like how we met, like I might remember or when, but I don't remember any names.
It's true. It happens.
So the day 2 show was great. They had the visuals locked down. I don't know if they didn't have the projector the first night, but
I think there was a little bit of technological issues with the projections the first night that got re-upped, and I think everybody realized like, oh, okay, this is what works and what doesn't work after that first night. And so coming back in the second night, it was like a much tighter, even though like the band was fucking great both nights,
Yeah.
But the behind the scenes, there was definitely a lot of consideration and conversation about tightening up what was happening. And getting more aligned, I think, of what Don's vision was.
Yeah, so the visuals were locked in, the band was locked in. Don had the strobe light, which was great. You needed the strobe light for Ink and Dagger. The energy was super high. Think about it. Halloween, Philadelphia, First Unitarian Church, Ink and Dagger show. There's not a better circumstance of events that exists in the known natural world.
It's true.
So that was night 2, and it was amazing. And the show was even better than the night before. And again, I saw a lot, but I think I also missed a lot because I was so intent on filming. And the second night, I had like a not as good spot with not as much room, so it was hard to navigate. There was a lot of people around me, but I got the job done. The show was incredible. But that was the night you left, Nathaniel. And I have to say, I was very sad because we lived together the whole week. So I was used to you being around and like going to eat at that little restaurant across the street every morning and just like having someone to bounce stuff off of and work with. And I'm going to be honest, I get myself into like a negative headspace where I'm like, oh, nobody wants me around or nobody wants to talk to me and I'm in the way and blah, blah, blah. And I used to like, it used to affect me to the point where like I would make reactions and decisions based upon it. But now I know when I'm feeling that way and I'll just be like, hey, if you feel that way, get up and go talk to somebody. Hey, if you feel that way, go say hi to somebody. Hey, don't spin off into a paranoid delusion and start, making moves. So I was like, just get up and go do what you do. So what did I do? Oh, that day. Okay. That day was the book event at that record store in Port Richmond, right? Now, Jeremy Dean introduced it. He's the guy that did the Misfits book. And he is like the graphic designer, photo guy who put together a lot of the visual components. And Eric Bader is so Jeremy Dean introduced the event. Eric Bader read passages from the book. I cannot wait to read that book because I learned things from that reading that I had never heard anywhere else.
The high price of everlasting life. In my dreams, I never wake up.
What is important to remember about those years is the absolute urgency we all shared in the form of an overpowering impulse to smash literally every single goddamn thing that stood in our way, no matter what. The unbearably stifling dread of endlessly insurmountable obstacles and unwavering systems bearing down around us was juxtaposed with the exhilarating euphoria of knowing that through our collective efforts, we could actually overcome it all and come out on the other side into a world that was better, smarter, more fair and just, more sex positive, a movement of which Sean McCabe was an outspoken and early adopter, and just all around way more fucking fun. The pursuit of happiness isn't a myth. It's an actual concept invented by our founding fathers in the same city that invented Ink and Dagger. This is not a coincidence. It is our legacy. After 4 relentless years, numerous releases, and multiple national and global tours, the almighty Ink and Dagger went on hiatus in 1999 because Sean needed to get his shit together. Like a vampire, he had always drawn energy from others. Now he was drawing energy from himself and from the rest of the members of the band. The eternal energy transference had ceased to become an exchange. Now it had become a drain. No one wanted to stop. The work was far from over. At the last show of a tour at the Whiskey A Go-Go in West Hollywood, Don gave away all of his equipment. There was a stifling sense of finality in the air, but nothing official, nothing truly decided. Not yet. Yet the end was closer than anyone could imagine. As it turned out, this would be their final show. Sean took a job that was going to take him out of state and away from his problems in Philadelphia. He privately told Chris Tropea, a longtime friend and one of the last members of the band, that he was taking the job to get clean. He got as far as Indiana, and he never came back. Sean Patrick McCabe died alone in a motel room somewhere in Indiana. Conflicting stories emerged immediately, some likely, others outlandish. Like the open casket at an Irish wake, the case will never be closed. It's in that dark room where this chapter ends. But our story doesn't end there. It can't end, because you're right here, now, today. And right now, in your world, nothing is over. Not yet anyway. The camera is still running. The film is unfinished. It may be later than it seems, but nighttime is the best time. It's all coming full circle. This is your movie now. Are you ready? Your heart is empty. The mirror shows no reflection. Welcome to the Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires. Today, the stakes have never been higher. Never before has so much of the vast flow of untamed energy that moves our world been in the hands of so few. Those who stole it continue to control it. But all is not hopeless, because punk rock is like a vampire, and a vampire never dies. Ink and Dagger was made up of many members, but it was more than just musicians. It was the outcasts they empowered who went on to smash conventions and break systems. The artists, authors, and poets who through their choices found their voices, becoming the twin fangs that bit deep into the wellspring of our world's limitless energy, and in doing so found truth and freedom and self-empowerment. It was all of us. The road ahead will not be an easy one. Though we are legion, this will be a solo mission. There are no road signs, no markers, no maps. The only constant is an endless, unquenchable thirst. Whatever you've got to give more. Whatever it takes, take it for yourself and make it into something better. It's about starting at the top and going from there. And this is a quote from Sean from an unpublished interview about like a month after they got together. We are revolutionary people. The stakes are higher, the risks are higher. So we as punk rock people have to take whatever we can get, use whatever weapons we can. Knowing your energy is one of the greatest things you can do with your life. At first glance, it's vampires. Second glance, it goes deeper. This band is made up of 5 people who don't fuck around. We put everything we've got, we put everything into it. We're starting at the top and we're working our way up. If you can control energy, you can control anything in this fucking world. So go out there and disrupt something. Take on a new form, become something new. Steal energy and do with it what you will. From now on, you will no longer be a victim of this world. You will make the world your victim. Drain the blood from the world and use it for something greater than all of us. If you want to learn, you have to burn. This band won't just change your life, it'll change your death. After all, we're all better 6 feet under. Thanks.
And I was blown away. Like, people were in tears. It was a really emotional, and it's not just going to be a book of like, hey, here's some photos of the band and some old flyers. It's a 226 page book of mostly text, and I cannot wait to read this thing and find out even more about this band that I love. So I learned from you, Nathaniel. I had my iPhone set up on a tripod, and I had that focused on the projector to capture the images and where Eric was reading. And then I was on the ground with the handheld cam that you gave me, and I was like bouncing back and forth between Jeremy and Eric, and I captured that whole thing. So that was cool. Then I'm like, I got to go next door to the pizza shop where they had the Ink Dagger blood orange ice cream, which you did not get to try, right?
I did not get to try that ice cream, which is a bummer because I like ice cream. And I think blood orange is a good flavor. It
was really good. But check this out. I was empowered by all the work we had been doing. And this is very uncharacteristic of me. I almost didn't even go into the shop. I almost chickened out. But I was like, no, this is my job. I have to do it. So I marched into that shop and I was like, hey, I'm with Ink and Dagger. Can I film myself buying the ice cream and eating it? I'm getting footage for the band. And the guy at the register was like, let me check. And he talks to like the manager or whatever, the supervisor.
Is it like a kid that worked there?
He was young. I don't think he was like 16 or anything, but he, I guess he just had to ask whoever was in charge. And he asked the guy, and the guy was like, yeah. He's like, listen, the ice cream, we made it, but it's very white. It's not very like orange. He's like, so we're going to make another batch and then you can film that. And I was like, cool. Because the ice cream has no like preservatives, dyes, whatever. It's a natural ice cream.
Yeah.
It was blood orange, but it looked very white. So I filmed myself, I guess, buying that first batch. I can't remember. But then I sat down and I saw that a guy sitting next to me got it. And I was like, hey, can I interview you? And I did like our interview thing, and I asked him about the ice cream. Yeah, like Nathaniel and I had like a list of questions we asked all the people we interviewed at the show. So I asked him a couple of those, and I asked him what he thought of the ice cream. And turns out the guy listens to the podcast.
And he knew you. Did you sign his ice cream?
No, but I don't think he knew at first, because he messaged me later on Instagram, and I recognized this guy's Instagram name because I've some names you just recognize because people support you and all that stuff. He messaged me and he's like, hey, I think I'm the guy you interviewed at the shop. And I was like, that was you? Like, oh, I was like, that's so cool. Awesome. So he's like the interview I got in the ice cream shop. And then like the salesman in me came out because they did the next batch of the ice cream and they were like, oh, this isn't that white either. Or this is like pretty white too. And I was like, see, what you need to do is...
How long did it take to make a batch of ice cream?
Probably 20 minutes.
Okay.
Like 20, 30 minutes. I was there for a little while because I ate the slice of pizza too, and I waited so I could try this next batch. I was like, guys, what you need to do is get some of that strawberry drizzle, right?
Ooh.
And put that on the ice cream because that'll look like blood. And blood, Ink and Dagger. And they did it.
Also, strawberry and orange together is probably delicious.
It was great. So they did that. I filmed myself buying it, and I filmed myself like eating it, and then I was like, perfection.
So you changed the ice cream industry in Philadelphia.
I mean, I hope they stuck with that touch that I added to it because that would make me feel special. Plus, it looked more Ink and Daggery with my suggestion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then what did I do? I hung out with a good friend. He's like my friend I've known the longest. He lives in Philadelphia. So I met up, I went to his house and hung out with him and his family for a minute. Then I went to the show, and it was not as fun without you, Nathaniel, because now I didn't have a job per se, but I had the handheld camera, and I was going to film a little bit. But this show was great because I really got to enjoy it. Like I didn't, like I was on the ground, I was on the floor, I was hanging out with friends, and I was like, I'm just going to stand in the crowd and film with the little handheld camera that you gave me. And Soul Glow played first time seeing them, amazing.
That's about it, 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 God damn it, ain't all around the way, all around the way, all around the way. Okay. Sign up with me, super the sign up my eye with me, lie to me, lie about me.
I love that it's like your typical hardcore band setup, but two of the guys have like, it's almost like it's like an electronic or a keyboard state. I don't know exactly what it was, mixers, but they would play guitar and then they would like go to the mixing station and then like do stuff there. It was a really cool dynamic. Have you seen them before?
Yeah, I've seen them a bunch of times, and I've seen them at the church. And as one of, I think one of the two best to potentially four best Philly bands, current modern Philly bands, I would group Mannequin Pussy also in that. Seeing them at the church is rad. Because again, it's like that spirit of like Dagger playing at the church or Painted Black playing at the church, even Dead Guy playing at the church. All of these bands who have like played that stage a million times in the last 30 years, but also are like so ingrained in that community. And Soul Glow have it on top of the fact that they're rad dudes and a lot of energy. And Pierce is a great singer. Got a lot of energy.
They were cool. And then night 3, I hate to tell you this, Nathaniel, I don't know if it was just being in the crowd and actually moshing at that breakdown at the end of 6 Feet Under Swindle. I did one of these, like...
You threw bows?
Yeah, like hard, like really hard. I really got into it.
Did you hit anybody and then apologize?
No, I'm a responsible mosher. I went super hard, but I made sure like not like I kind of had a sense of who was around me and who was not, and I made sure to not hit anybody. Sure. But I could also sense that people were like, "Whoa, like look out," you know what I mean? Which was cool. So I'm
gonna start introducing you as like, "Yo, this is my man Keith M, the RM." What's RM? Responsible mosher.
So like, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna film like as much as I can. And right when Road to Hell kicked in, someone jumped like on my hand and hurt my hand, and the recorder fell to the ground. But thankfully I recovered it. So I only filmed a little bit of the show, but I just got to be in the crowd and sing along and have fun. And I experienced the show from the crowd. Like I saw the gang rush in with the Don cocoon and like push everybody out of the way and dump them on stage. I saw everything from the front. I experienced everything that the crowd experienced. I thought it was the best show. The energy was super high. And Pierce from Soul Glow did guest vocals for Philopsychosis. There was a guest vocalist for Philopsychosis each night, and the rule was you had to be from Philadelphia to do the guest vocals. So night 1 was Dan Yeeman from Painted Black. He killed it. Night 2, Michael Berdan from Uniform. He killed it. Night 3, Pierce from Soul Glow was my favorite. I don't know what it was, just like so intense. It just like, it was just the best, you know?
His delivery is really great.
Yeah, like and then night 4 was Robbie Red Cheeks. Neither of us were at that show, unfortunately. But night 3 was fantastic. Got to say hi to a lot of people. Got to just see the show and have fun. Drove home that night and got home really late. And then I had to assimilate back into real life, which was very sad. The high of the shows wore off. I missed hanging out with you and just getting up and going to Ink and Dagger events all day. You know, like what could be better than that?
It's fun, man. I mean, to a degree, I don't know if you've ever gone to like New York Comic Con or nerd gatherings like that before, or even like a music festival, even though I don't know that like a music festival necessarily has the same charm as like a convention. But I used to work New York Comic Con actually with Josh from Cross Keys and our friend Mark Beamer. We used to do New York Comic Con every year. And like, it's just like, yeah, this is it. This is all I'm going to do for 4 days. It's just like go to Comic Con, work, sling shirts, hang out, people watch, and just be in that zone. And you know, you've been on tour, I've toured. When you get in that mode of being on the go and it's just this is my responsibility, it's hard to assimilate, even if it's for 4 days, 4 months, 4 years. Coming back and having that like tour depression, because you're kind of, I saw an old Detroit friend who, sound guy, has been on the road for literally like 25 years at this point, had posted a thing on the internet the other day, Matt Woods, what's up, about the survivalism of just being on the go in those types of situations. I feel it like even when I do freelance work and I have to travel and it's just like bam, 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 4 days, 5 days a week, where you're just kind of in the zone of like go, 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 then to come back and either go to your job or your family or like whatever that kind of normalcy is like, it's kind of jarring at first. I felt the same way. I hated to leave, but unfortunately I had another job booked on Saturday that I couldn't not do. And it was hard to leave, mainly not only because like I love the band, but it's like you and I, again, for being two dudes who like don't really know each other, just connected and got along really well. And it's like, it's rare, I think, as an adult to make new friends like that and like really appreciate kind of like what that means, especially under the pressure of, you don't work in video production. You don't do camera production. You're really great at interviewing people. You're really great at getting people to like talk. You and I spent the entire time together, and I admittedly have talked like 3/4 of this because I'm a rambler and you're a man of like very few words. But at the same time, like you and I getting to know each other and like how similar we kind of are, but also drastically different, and like how that complements is like, it's fucking cool. And when you make those kind of connections with people, it's hard to like kind of say goodbye temporarily, especially when you're under the umbrella of like spending time with in a world that you're like really passionate about and getting to create and be a peer. So like walking away from that is like kind of weird, you know. And I came home and my wife was like, oh, you know, like how'd it go? And I was like, man, Keith's great, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, it's really cool that you guys were able to like go and have this experience together.
Yeah.
Not only because of a band you love, but also because, you know, she knows me really well and like how particular I kind of can be about things, but like making that connection.
Yep. Yeah, I felt that too. And that's what I want more of. Collaboration, connection, working on these types of things, whatever they may be. Because, I mean, even last night, like just going to see Shiner with John Lane, who we know and love, going out to eat. I got to say hi to Alan. Alan's been on the show a couple times. I got to say hi to Chris. I met some people who listen to the show. Just stuff like that makes me feel alive, rather than just sitting here working all day, you know?
Well, you put so much work behind a computer, frankly, into like what you do, that little bit of validation outside of the digital realm of, oh, hey, you're that guy that does that thing. I like it. Awesome. It's a good motivator, you know, and it adds to that like human element of you're being put in a vulnerable spot. The fact that you and I are having this very open conversation with each other, recapping about a band, and some people probably could give a shit if you and I like went on an adventure together and like didn't know each other, but like bonded like pretty heavily throughout the process of that, and just want to hear about like, is it all true? Is all the Ink and Dagger stuff true? You know,
It
it's
is
like
all true. Here, there's one that isn't true. Here, I'm going to tell you, and it's on the Ink and Dagger Wikipedia page. Hold on.
Oh man, we're getting to the point of reading Wikipedia. Well, you look that up. I think what's cool is the community and connections that you make in a way that we did when we were young and can still do every now and then based on, I don't want to say hardcore, but like just these subcultures that we traverse and like love and appreciate and have inspired us and like frankly brought us to this point of all of the new people that we met that week that helped us, that like we didn't know, that were like, oh, hey, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. Oh, you're writing for this. You're taking pictures of that. Let me help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. I don't get to experience that fucking at all because most people aren't like that. Especially where we live, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we met a lot of people who were amazing. Kingsley, his dad, Anthony, Robbie Red Cheeks, Jeff from R5, all of Ink and Dagger, of course. By the way, Josh, if you hear this, Ink and Dagger is my favorite band. Yes, officially. He'll know what I'm talking about.
It's true.
After the shows, I was talking to Josh. I was like, yeah, Ink and Dagger's like one of my favorite bands. He's like, one of my favorite bands. He's like, I thought it was your favorite band. What do you mean one of your favorite? And I was like, well, you know, like Hammock is my favorite ambient band and Ink and Dagger is like my favorite heavy band. And no. Ink and Dagger favorite band officially, of course, after that amazing week. So
you're also a big Insane Clown Posse fan. I found that out.
No, that was you guys. No.
I mean, I had to because like I grew up in it. I was born and raised in the streets.
By the way, we need to publish that clip of me asking Tim Singer about Juggalo culture. Well, we're almost out of time. Oh yeah, real quick. On the Ink and Dagger Wikipedia page, it says, on one occasion, the band vomited on Christmas trees on stage. That is not true. That is a complete fabrication.
That's such a weird thing to make up. Of like, I bet somebody joked about it one time, and like it's now 2025, and we're still talking about it. We talked about it with Don, but like even like
it's very random.
I remember hearing that like 25 years ago, and just being like, that. Why would you do that? That's like not really offensive.
I remember reading that in an interview a long time ago, and I think it was with Sean, and even he was like, "No, I don't remember that one." Well, listen, we're out of time. In summation, Ink and Dagger, best band. The week of shows was the best. Hopefully there will be more to share and discover in the future, but that is to be determined. And make sure everybody picks up the December issue of New Noise magazine, because you can read our print article and see some exclusive photos that Nathaniel here has taken of the band and other exclusive things. Make sure you check out the web version too. There might be extra stuff in there. I don't know. We're still waiting to see exactly what's going to happen. Nathaniel, thank you for coming back on the show. It was a very memorable week, maybe the most memorable of weeks, and I look forward to doing it again.
It was definitely like the best week I've had in a really long time. That was very, and again, like we were talking about this the entire time we were there. I was like, everything was so organic the way it came together. Don was talking about that. The band was talking about it. The fans were talking about it. Of like everything just kind of lined up perfectly. And, whether you think it's collective consciousness or prayer or whatever you want to label the mindset of mental focus and positivity, that shit makes things happen in a way that, again, going through the experience and living in the moment of being there for what we were there for is like pretty incredible. And something we don't get to experience very often, you know, so having that break from the monotony and the just endless frustration of watching humans continue to like just fucking live out every lyric to a dystopia song you could ever listen to. It's fucking cool as shit, and I'm glad we got to do it together. So smash that like and subscribe. Do people say that? I always laugh when people say that.
People say it, I don't.
Smash Keith subscribe.
Everybody, thank you. I'll be back Monday.
Gigolo culture?
Would you say that Insane Clown Posse and the Juggalo culture have had a big impact on you personally and musically?
More personally, maybe, as far as home decor and role play with my wife. But other than that, he's recording this, by the way.